Hi, I'm Dot Marie Jones, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Anne and Damien.
Speaking of flags, I remember I saw this exhibit about Cherry Grove at Fire Island, and when lesbians would be in Cherry Grove and they wanted to throw a party, some of them would say, like, make sure you come to the Lithuanian flag party, and there would be like a Lithuanian flag for like as code for lesbian. I was very into that. So raise whatever flag you want, Lithuanian or otherwise. Welcome to our Pride episode of You Might Know Her From
with Anne and Damien.
I'm Anne.
And I am Damien, and we are just so delighted to be back here with you. As you know, if you are a regular listener, we are on hiatus. We are on summer hiatus. This is when we unplug, we consume content, but we're also, just so you know, and just to be clear, we are recording interviews with wonderful women and non-binary actors, collecting those so that we have just a little bit of cushion for the pushin' come launch of our next season. So we are working, we are getting those interviews for you folks, but right now we're on hiatus. However, we thought it's Pride. The Tonys have just happened. We just saw Pamela Anderson in Chicago. We both just were blackout drunk together, and Anne lost her phone. We've had adventures. We needed to get back on here, and we needed to share them with you. So hello. Thanks for meeting us back here.
It's so good to be back. It's been a while since we've done this. So hope your summer is going well so far. As Damien said, we're in Pride Month. We had been setting up seeing Pamela Anderson as Roxy Hart in Chicago for like 3 months, and the time was almost about to pass, and we were like, we got to lock it in. So we did it over Memorial Day weekend, and we went with a crew of incredible friends, and we did brunch before, and then we saw the show, and we were already 3 sheets to the wind by the time we saw the show. And I have to say, like, we got orchestra seats, which for me, I can't always afford orchestra seats, but when I can, it is so worth it. And that is a reason to get rich, honestly, is for me to be able to afford orchestra seats for any show, because it is a game changer for someone with low vision like myself.
Can I just say that I didn't get an intermission wine. I got a starting the show wine for Act 1.
Same.
And after we left the show, I had posted something on Insta story of like me, of like the not the marquee, like the curtain down, you know, and I said like CC Pamela Anderson. And I had like 12 to 15 messages of people asking how the show was, how was she? And I didn't respond to anyone. And someone was like no response. And I was like, they were like, review for Pam, review of Pam. And I just like couldn't respond. And then someone was like, oh, like it wasn't good. And I was just like, I can't respond because I'm drunk right now. Like I need to catch my bearings, and I will respond to you tomorrow with a review.
It was fantastic. I have to say, I was totally charmed from start to finish. She did everything. She did the cartwheel at the end. She got the monologue in and was great. She did some of the dancing. Like, I thought she was a great Roxy. Look, we get Roxys that do exactly 0 of the dancing. So I thought her dancing was actually very, like, good to better than good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought her dancing was her number 1. If I was going to rank her as like a 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
I would have said dancer, actor, singer.
Yeah, I think that's right for me too. She really moved well, and
I thought her Hot Honey Rag was like pretty impressive for a celebrity. I was screaming.
By the time the Hot Honey Rag started, I was like hooting and hollering and whistling. Okay, here's the thing. I conduct myself with the utmost etiquette and decorum when I attend.
We do have
theater.
Tony voters that are listening, Anne, so be respectful.
We have what?
Tony voters that listen. Tony winners.
Oh, okay. You mean on the off chance I one day get to be a Tony voter, I shouldn't describe the way that I get like blackout drunk at Chicago the musical once every 3 years? It's worth it. Chicago the musical on Broadway has been running for what, like 25, 26 years at this point? Is that right?
I think so.
Maybe longer. I love what the Weissers have done with their star casting. Our friend Aaron, was it Aaron that informed us that it is not stunt casting, it's star casting? And I said, that's right.
I don't remember that. Yeah, you were very excited to be in the audience.
I think I remember at one point, I love Brenda Braxton, who I didn't know was going to be on for Mama Morton. She was great. And she did it with like a shaved head, which I didn't know was her like current aesthetic. And I hadn't seen her that way before. And she looked great, sounded great. And I am embarrassed to say that I think at one point during When You're Good to Mama, I screamed, "Yes, Brenda!" The actress's name. And I thought, Anne, you got to get it together. I was very excited. A lot had been building up to this moment.
She was asking for it because she did do like this option where she was like, when you're good to and like doing this really cool vocalizing, and it was very exciting. And so she was asking for it to say like, yeah, she was asking for a yes, Brenda.
In case you're wondering, yes, we did get a photo with her after the show. I, in classic fashion, like lost my phone in the theater. Damien was like, I was like, it's good. We're going to leave it. I need a new one. And Damien was like, we gotta get your phone, Anne. I was really, it was like, you can't take me anywhere. I was really putting on my own show.
Yeah, it was a real thrill. And I don't know, I just was so charmed by Pam giving it like 110%.
Same.
I just think that like it must be really scary to be a person who has no stage experience to come and do a big Broadway show and like to have to do 8 shows a week, and you have like, you know, all eyes are on you, and like, yes, you are the lead and probably getting paid a lot more money than other people in the show, but also like you don't know how to do it. It's, I don't know, it's scary. So I just felt like she did a great job. She was so teeny tiny and committed to all the dancing.
Looked beautiful, was really funny and charming, and I do feel like the company was behind her, and I feel like she actually had a lot of love from the New York community. So that was really nice to see, and I feel like it exceeded my expectations. And I was already a fan of Pamela Anderson, but now I'm like a forever fan because she came to Broadway. And also, whoever took her promotional shots, I should insert the name of the famous photographer who does like all of the Chicago promotional shots, but they said that like Pam Anderson was an absolute like beautiful delight from start to finish of the shoot, and was just so excited to be there. Also, she like joined Instagram to promote her run in Chicago.
Bless her. Bless Pammy.
There's been so much. You said like basically what happens is we consume a lot of content for this podcast anyway, because we do a lot of intense research for each actor that we're interviewing. However, it is true that when we are not in production, I do consume a lot more like just that is not research based. And so sometimes I just go back to my list of things that I check off that I've never seen that are blind spots for me. And this past month that included The Shape of Water, starring my beloved Sally Hawkins, which I think is sort of a queer movie in its way. And also The House Bunny, which was a blind spot for me. And I really enjoyed both of those things. Not perfect, either of them, but I felt like they were both required viewing, and I can't believe I hadn't seen them.
I love you bringing up The House Bunny. Like, and I also was able to watch this 2008
That's how I live.
mid-budget studio comedy starring Anna Faris.
This is my dream. This is the type of film I want to come back. I can't believe also that Colin Hanks was a love interest. That is irritating to me. But this is the kind of genre of film that I would like to be coming back into fashion. The mid-budget comedy that's a little bit high concept. I was very into it. Also is the writing team of the people that wrote Legally Blonde, 2 women that I forgot wrote both Legally Blonde and House Bunny. Anyway, and then this very weekend I saw Top Gun in the theaters with our dear friends Brennan and Alex, and that was, you know, I have to say I have a real soft spot for Tommy. He is an insane Scientologist.
Tommy, can you hear me? Insert sound effect.
I love him. I have a soft spot. I think he's one of the last great movie stars. Also, at the beginning of the movie, he does this intro that's like a direct address to the audience. It's like, folks, it's been a long 2 years, but we made this movie just for you. Yes, there are F-14s. Yes, there are insane things that we really did with our bodies. We hope you enjoy it. This Top Gun is for you. And I was like, this is old school Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, he talked to the audience. I loved it.
Was this like before the like?
It was right before
Lionsgate,
the logo
Paramount
of the studio
logo
came up.
Okay.
Yeah. It was very special.
Wow.
Unfortunately, no cameo from late in life lesbian Kelly McGillis. They got a whole new
That was my
interest.
number one. I sent that message this morning like, hello, I just need to know, was Kelly McGillis in it?
She isn't, and it's so upsetting. They got Jennifer Connelly in as the new love interest. She is an embarrassment for me because I used to think she was very good. I'm not sure that she actually is a great actor anymore, but I am like very attracted to her, and that is an embarrassment for me. Like, I feel embarrassed that I am attracted to her on a very base level. She is like my movie star crush.
I don't know Top Gun very well. Like, no cameos from anybody?
Val Kilmer as Iceman, and then your celebrity crush Ed Harris does make like, but he wasn't in the original. He just like has like one small role in the film.
You know who is in the original? Tom Skerritt, who is holds a similar space in my brain of like hot men who've like always looked old to me, and like, they're actually both old now, and I'm like, oh, I want to fuck them still.
My girlfriend and her sister and I were having a conversation yesterday about who is the oldest person that you would fuck. Do you have any answer for that?
I think it's Ed Harris. I gotta
But he's not even that old. He's not even that old.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's like 72.
He's 71. I thought he was older, honestly.
All right. If you get back to me when you've got an 80-year-old on the mix.
Who's your oldest?
I think somebody said Dick Van Dyke, and I thought that was a great answer.
Oh, yeah, that's a great answer. I think I've talked on this podcast about
90s.
wanting to, like, suck his dick. Like, I'd, like, push his wife out of the way. Like,
Yeah.
let me... not Jerry Van Dyke, who I also have expressed
Jerry's
deep
dead,
hatred
I think.
for.
Jerry's dead, thank goodness.
He's not. He was on Coach, right?
Of course he was on Coach. I know he was on Coach. He was also on the Judy Garland show. He is dead. I think Jerry's dead. Check
You're
it.
right. He died in 2018. Good job.
Thank you. I'm not always right, but I knew I was right.
We never
about
talked
Jerry.
about this on the podcast, but we had this running joke where, like, Anne used to, I mean, it's not a run, it's a continuing to run, but, like, Anne would, like, text me and be like, so, like, or she would always say, like, they're dead, and it was, like, always not true. And you said that Celeste Holm was dead for, like, 7 years, and then one day she finally died. So you were right. Jerry Van Dyke is dead. Good job.
Oh man, yeah. It was important when he finally passed for me personally. He was probably a good person, honestly. He was probably a good guy. But we love Dick Van Dyke. I think he is, I think Hannah said Cheetah Rivera. I'm into that. She still got it.
Helen Mirren, again,
Yeah,
not
she's
sure
not
how
that
old
old.
she actually
She's not that
is,
old.
but
I don't
she's
even think
hot.
Helen Mirren's 80, but yeah, she's hot. I mean, I think we're in a different category. Once somebody's in their late 80s, 90s, we're in a different category where I'm concerned about injuring them.
Helen Mirren's 76.
I mean, she's hot. What
about Judi Dench?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Would you fuck her, Barbara?
I would
wanna
fuck
fuck
a Barbara.
me, Barbara?
Yeah.
Should we revisit Rudolph's on a Scandal?
Yeah.
It's so gay.
Can I tell you that-
I have to say, this is controversial because I know you're a Kate Blanchett stan. It's a terrible performance, and she got nominated for an Oscar for it.
It is a terrible performance. I love her less. Look, I'm looking at our timestamp and I'm saying, I've got another 15 minutes in me on this. Here's my problem. This is why I love Tom Cruise. I'm circling back. People are too accessible these days. I don't need Kate Blanchett to go on every talk show. I don't want to see clips of her at bars. I don't want to know, I don't want to see her doing games with Jimmy Fallon. She's too accessible. I prefer when movie stars are movie stars. And that was why it was a thrill to see fucking Tom Cruise with his real grandma face open that movie yesterday and then see what he looked like in the film. And I was like, oh, he's it's like they Irishmaned his face. They CGI'd his face back onto his body. But I appreciate that he is insane and inaccessible for the most part, because to me, that is what a movie star is. I don't want to know what you have for lunch every day. And so that to me is why I'm a little less hot on Kate Blanchett these days, because I think she's doing too many interviews, frankly.
Yeah, everyone wants to be like Meryl Streep or Jennifer Lawrence. And it's not every celebrity needs to be that,
Correct. 100%. I think my exception to that rule is Sandra Bullock, who is a movie star in interviews, and that is part of her movie stardom is that she's extremely charming in interviews.
Well, I think that is a lot of movie stars, but I hear you on the idea of people going on Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel to and fucking carpool karaoke.
Too much.
There's this level of
say no.
Yeah, say no.
Say no.
Say no. And on that, should we get into this week's interview and then we'll come back? We're going to have another 20 minutes for you on the way out.
Yeah, don't worry. Okay, this month's interview, we're so excited because we got to sit down with the incredible Dot Marie Jones, who was just, I can't even tell you, sometimes you meet somebody and we're just on Zoom with Dot, but it really is, I just feel like we had a really good vibe with her, and she's one of those people that I feel kind of glows from within, where you sort of meet them and you think, oh, all of this charm is just sort of coming through the camera lens. She's very warm, so personable, and just has such an interesting story in terms of how she got into acting, which I am clearly obsessed with because I got to find out about Knights and Warriors, something that was a blind spot for me, and that was, incredible story.
She was just I don't know, she was just very self-assured, very kind, very cool, and I felt really open to us. So I am forever grateful to Dot Marie Jones, and so happy to have her here on the show for our Pride extravaganza.
You might know her from Glee,
American Horror Story,
Golden Arm,
Lizzie McGuire,
Knights and Warriors,
Patch Adams,
The Boondock Saints,
and the upcoming comedy Bros. Well, we are just pleased as punch to be here with actor and 3-time Emmy nominee, Dot Marie Jones. Dot, thank you for being on You Might Know Her From.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
we're very excited for you because I feel like we're like approaching the launch and the premiere of Billy Eichner's upcoming rom-com Bros.
Yes.
It co-stars you and like a plethora of LGBTQ out actors, including Luke McFarlane, T.S. Madison, Monica Raymond, Cameron Diaz, Guy Brennan, Bowen Yang, Miss Lawrence, Amanda Bierce.
Yeah.
We are very excited. I'm sure there's other people in it too who we don't even know are in it yet. Can you talk about how you were approached for this project? And did you know going in that it would be like a totally queer-led cast?
Billy asked me to do the table read for it back in 2019. And then, of course, COVID hit. And then we were supposed to shoot it in April of 2020. But because, of course, of COVID, everything was shut down. And when I was at the table read, I saw, and plus, of course, you're reading this, and it is a predominantly like 99% queer cast, which is amazing. It's amazing that it's the first one, you know?
Yeah, so cool.
Mm-hmm. It was so fun, and just, oh my God, we had so much fun.
We're really hoping, I know you can't say anything, but we're like, is there a Jodie Foster cameo? We're just like, we're fingers crossed across the board.
A Jodie Foster cameo. I don't even know how to answer that.
We're going to come back to this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, Dot. So one of the things that we love about you and your work is that, you know, often you've been cast in these roles that are sort of Hollywood code for lesbian, which we're obsessed with, like bikers, correction officers, wrestlers, inmates, lady golfers, gym teachers. And I was thinking about this in terms of your acting career because when I was in acting school as a kid, like I was this closeted 20-something and I was assigned to do this gay scene with an out actress. And I was so in my head about what that meant about how people saw me and how I saw myself and how I fit into that world. And I was listening to this interview with you where we were talking about how you sort of started dating women later into your 20s. And I was wondering if that sort of self-realization for you was something that sort of went in tandem with your acting career. So you were able to sort of find like that self-truth in terms of like the honesty of your acting.
Well, you know, I never had some big coming out thing, you know, and I didn't start acting till I was 27. And I never was in a relationship with a woman till after I was 27. So I think also too, like even before I realized what I was doing, the acting thing, of course, because of my size, I used to be 6'4", but now I'm like 6'3". I think because of my size, a lot of it was because of that, to be honest, you know? And it was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. I'll do what, you know, there's certain things, of course, I won't do anything that's disrespectful to women or anybody really. And I always said I wouldn't do anything that I wouldn't want my mom to do when she was alive, you know? So it's like, I love what we get to do as long as it's done tastefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like, you know, I look at certain roles and there's certain ones that I'll pass on, but it's like, as long as I can go have fun, I just can't do the, I turned down this one, I won't say who it was with, but I turned down this one comedy guy who had a show for a minute, and he wanted me to do it was just really crass and disrespectful, and I would have been mortified and embarrassed to have done it because it was so disrespectful to women and to gay women. So I was like, oh, hell no. The way I look at it, I was looking for a job when I was offered that one. So I'll just keep looking, you know?
Right,
yeah.
Right.
You have been working for years. Like, who were the other women that were in the room with you, maybe back in the day when there was room? Or like, do you have a sense of community with other tall women, with other out women that were like, there's like some sort of sense of community where you're like, oh, I know so-and-so, like we were always out for the same stuff? You
know, what's funny is like, I did see, you know, because I'm a character actor, so I'm obviously not going to be the 108-pound leading woman or 150-pound leading woman, which is wonderful. But I'm never going to be that person, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally comfortable being in this body. Took a long time, but I'm comfortable. But like a lot of the actresses that I did see we never talked about what, you know, whether they were gay or straight. And some of them I have no idea, even though I've been seeing them for this is my 32nd year doing this stuff. It's crazy. But it's like, you know, you see a certain group of people, and then, you know, the certain actors and actresses that you see when it is called for a lesbian or something. And some of them aren't even lesbian. It's just they not stereotype, but because somebody has short hair and looks a little gruff, doesn't mean anything.
But like, what about height? Like Judy Gold is 6'3". Like, were you and her up for a lot of the same roles because you're both very tall women?
No.
Really?
I've never seen Judy at any of I love her. I think she's hilarious, but I've never seen Judy at anything.
I was like 6'3". There's like not that many 6'3" women that are like, name recognition famous.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but a lot of the women that I would see at certain auditions were stunt women, And I always did my own stunts because I'm like, who the hell's going to double me, But I always loved doing my own stunts. And so, but you see the specific, the 6 foot plus, and there was maybe a handful of us that would run into each other, over time, or intermittently run into each other over time. But it depends what they're looking for. And sometimes when they say what they're looking for isn't even what they're looking for. I went into an audition once for a commercial and it said, swear to God, think of Dot Marie Jones on the breakdowns. And I went into the audition. I didn't get the part.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's such a stupid industry.
So it's like, you never know. I mean, they never know, I think, unless they definitely 100% have somebody in mind. But I mean, that's just how it goes. And I thought that was hysterical.
Okay, Dot, so you have this artistic working relationship with Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
And so for those that don't know, like, you've popped up on Nip Tuck, American Horror Story, Cult, and Double Feature. And of course, you played Coach Beiste for 5 seasons on Glee.
Yeah.
We also discovered something that we were not aware of, which was this 2008 pilot that you worked on together called Pretty Handsome, where you played a trans man and your wife was played by Alexandra Billings. It also had this incredibly starry cast: Joseph Fiennes, Blythe Danner, Robert Wagner, oh my God, Jonathan Groff, and Carrie Ann Moss.
Yes.
So this pilot didn't end up going to series, but can you tell us everything and like how that project and you and Ryan Murphy came into each other's lives?
We came into each other's lives, I can't remember the years that I did Nip Tuck. I know I did one season where I had always told my agent that I used to have, I said, if it's a role where it's calling for a man of a certain size and stuff, I mean, come on, I'm not going to be offended, send me in. So it was the scene on Nip Tuck where I did, it was with Rosie O'Donnell, and she's...
Dawn Budge.
Yes. And this light falls on her on this set, and I just played like this grip who went over and lifted the light off of her. And so we had so much fun. But I'm thinking that was first. But then also, too, when I read for Pretty Handsome, I was so excited to read for it because it was something that was, oh my God, it makes me want to cry thinking about it. And to date, I still think it's one of the best things that I've done. And unfortunately, a lot of people didn't get to see it because, I mean, working with Joseph Fiennes every day was a gift. He's as beautiful outside as he is inside. One of the kindest people I've ever met. And we're out in the sticks out in, I believe it was Connecticut. And my character was, halfway through the transition. Oh my God, this was like so incredible. They had done a cast of my body, and it was latex from my neck down to like below my waist. And they had made it look like I had had a mastectomy to have the top surgery. And so I hadn't had the bottom surgery yet, or the hysterectomy, or any of that I was going through. And so I go to him, and he's thinking that a man, because I have like sideburns and a mustache, and I've, been taking hormones and such. And I find out that, do you want me to tell you everything?
I mean, I'm very invested in this.
I want you to see it because it's so damn good.
I could only find a short clip of Joseph Fiennes, and then it's like Robert Wagner is fucking somebody on a hospital bed.
Niecy Nash.
Oh, you need to see it. You need to send us the password protected YouTube link, and we won't share it.
You know what? I don't even know, because I heard that you could watch it on something, but I wasn't sure. I mean, can't you like Google where can I watch Pretty Handsome?
It doesn't seem to exist, but we're going to keep up.
Oh my God. Well, if I can find something, I will 100% send it to you. God, I love that woman. Niecy Nash is amazing.
She's incredible. She is incredible.
She plays his nurse because he also plays Joseph Fiennes' dad, Robert Wagner does, and he's a gynecologist as well. I mean, God, the cast was unbelievable. It was overwhelming. Yeah. It was probably one of the biggest. I mean, I'd done some stuff with some pretty amazing people over the years. Like, I mean, doing Patch Adams with Robin Williams was life-changing for me. What a man. Oh, my God, there were so many in this pilot. And apparently they were taping this at close to the time they were taping the pilot for Glee.
Oh, well, if we ever find that, I'd tell you, that one clip is existing online. I said, this is necessary viewing for me.
Oh, my God, it's so good. And I don't even want to tell you because I want you to see it. So please let me find where you can watch it. I promise I'll send you something. I don't even have a copy of it, so I would tell you if I did.
You can have it. You need to have that on your reel. We need to get it for you.
Yes, that's true. We need that on your reel. Yeah. Okay. So, we mentioned you played Coach Beiste on Glee, and you got to perform tons of musical numbers over the years. Was that an easy yes because you had already worked with Ryan Murphy, or when the offer came in, were you a little bit like, what is this? What am I getting myself into?
Well, how it really went down is I ran into Brad Falchuk at a grocery store. And who co-created and wrote and stuff. He also did Pretty Handsome, Nip Tuck. So I had worked with him on, the last thing I'd seen Brad on was Pretty Handsome. And so I saw him at the grocery store and I'm like, hey, oh my God, how are you? What are you doing? He goes, oh my God, we just finished. We're wrapping up the first season of Glee. And I'm like, it is amazing. I said, come on, you guys, write me something. I want to do it. And he started laughing. He goes, can you sing? I said, well, shit, I'm no Mariah Carey, but I can kind of carry a tune. And I swear in probably 2 to 3 months, my agent got an email from Ryan Murphy's people saying, we want to know what Dot's doing starting mid-July. And they had written Coach Beiste for me. So it's so weird not to have to audition for something that huge. But I mean, Ryan had worked with me and thank God trusted me enough to know that I could do what I did.
Was there ever a song they handed you and you were like, no, absolutely not?
God, no. I think one of the one bourbon, one scotch, one beer, I think was the first one that I did with Matthew Morrison.
That's like a rodeo or like a sort of like a bar, right?
A honky tonk deal. We're all liquored up in a bar. It was so much fun. And then, God, I sang backup with a lot of stuff. But Jane Lynch and I, when Jema Mays gets married to Will, Emma marries Will, I think it was a Fifth Dimension song, Will You Marry Me, Bill? And they changed the words to Will You Marry Me, Will? And Jane and I are singing as we're going down the aisle as the bridesmaids. It was unbelievable. It was so much fun. Oh, my God. Yeah. What a trip. But no, I would never turn anything down. And in fact, Ryan had called me one day in my first season on the show, in second season was my first season, but I had just got the script, and a lot of times every time we never knew what we were doing until we got the script. And when I had to do the domestic violence with the husband, with Cooter, he asked me if I was okay and that he trusted me with it, which made me cry. And it turned out, obviously it turned out very well for a very shitty situation. It turned out very well, I just love the fact that he trusted me with all that. Because that was heavy. It was so heavy. And then I had no idea about season 6 until at our 100th party, he said, I have big plans for you next season. And that's all I got. He wouldn't tell me what it was.
That was going to be my next question. So in the 6th season, for those who don't remember, Beiste comes out as a trans man and starts to transition. So you had no inkling that was coming. I thought maybe when we were putting the pieces together, I thought maybe that was always part of the arc because of working on Pretty Handsome, where you also played a trans man. That maybe that you and Ryan had this conversation.
Nothing at all. Not until I got the script. He told me that he had big plans for my character, but I had no clue what they were until I got the script. And my first thing was like, oh my God. At first I was conflicted about it because the whole time I had been, I got a lot of messages and stuff from the big girls. I was like the champion for the big girl because, she has emotions, she has this. Nobody knows what anybody's going through at home. And so there was that. and she could still have a love life and have all these emotions. And then all of a sudden I'm going from that to trans. And then I was like, my big thing is, and I told Alexandria when I did Pretty Handsome, I asked her everything. She's amazing. I love her so much still. Well, of course, but I asked her everything. I said, my thing is I will never disrespect anybody I'm portraying, and I want to do it at the utmost, best of my ability. Mm-hmm. And when we did the trans episode, transitioning, and there was the choir, there was 200 trans men and women there, and they had come from all over the states, and it was probably one of the most emotional days ever because they were so proud to be represented. Most of them said, I never thought I'd see myself, meaning like someone like them on television. And so I don't take that lightly because like I said, I want to do it to the best of my ability and never disrespect anybody. So, but it ended up working out, and it also plays true to Ryan's storylines. It's like he touched on almost every scenario you could imagine on Glee.
Yeah.
And I feel like the show was very ahead of its time.
Right.
That was in like 2014, and in 7 years, so much has changed in terms of sort of the reckoning, in terms of let's get these people in the room, let's get them in the roles. But in 2014, I mean, really, we were doing the math. It's like there was Orange is the New Black that had also just sort of started, and then there was Transparent.
Right.
But Glee was very important for many different groups of people, I think, in terms of representation.
Absolutely. And I think also, too, for opening up communication between either your parents or your friends or whatever. I got that a lot in the responses I got from kids that were like, thanking us for what we were doing because it opened up a communication between and a dialogue between them and their folks, And I think also, too, with the stuff that happens in Pretty Handsome, it was way before its time.
Right. I mean, that was like 6 years earlier.
Yeah. I wish they'd take it now and make a movie because I tell you what, it was incredible.
From your lips to Ryan Murphy's ears,
Ryan's
he's probably a listener.
That and a series regular on anything.
Yes, babe.
We're putting it in. We're putting it out there.
There you go.
Anytime a show like Glee becomes a phenomenon that way, like the cast always has to deal with these insane highs and lows of instant fame. And your cast has suffered like a tremendous amount of loss. Do you feel like a lasting relationship with that cast?
I think so. I miss Corey tremendously. He was, as the coach, my first 2 seasons on the show, majority of my stuff was with him. So we became very close, and it's very sad. And then Naya as well. It's still, I can't believe it, but there's still a few that I keep in contact with, and, and everybody's so busy. Sometimes it's just a text or a message on Instagram or something like that, but everybody's got their lives that they're living, but we still, in a sense, keep in touch.
On a lighter note, are you planning to see Jane in Funny Girl? You coming to New York?
I would love to. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I'd love to see her in that.
I thought she was good.
I'd love to see Jane read the phone book. She's incredible, so anything. Yeah, she's amazing.
Okay, Dot, one of the things I was excited to see this week in preparation was the 2020 comedy Golden Arm, where you play big, sexy, and arm wrestling coach for Mary Holland's character who's training for this big arm wrestling competition. So this movie was like ridiculously fun and silly and weird. And I was excited to learn that you are a 15-time world arm wrestling champion. Yeah. Like, this is incredible. Were you basically that film's like de facto script supervisor, giving them all the lingo and like getting all of the tips, right?
What's funny is Maureen, who directed it, they had somebody else in mind to play Big Sexy. And it's like, when I read the script, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I'll do this, because it's like they wrote it for me, because I am a retired old arm wrestling broad. Yeah. But like all the arm wrestling trophies and stuff that in the jackets, those are all mine from over the years. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I love that it's just started on HBO Max. So that makes me very happy that you can watch it on HBO Max. But like Maureen's like, just go. And because when we go up, when we're in the garage at my shop, I go up to the table and I'm like, okay, you got to do this. And Maureen's like, just go, we're going to film it. And I said, okay. And so it's like everything I told them was what I had to learn over the years. You know, I started when I was 19. So it's like you learn or you get hurt.
Is there that square on the table that you have to keep your elbow within that radius of that?
It's usually a pad. Nowadays, it's a pad that's built up and you have to keep it on that. And then you hold on to the peg and you go down to a pad. And that was a legit arm wrestling table. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any chance we can get you out of retirement? Or you've hung it up?
You know what? I used to compete both right and left. And I just got a new shoulder.
Right and left?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So I just got a new left shoulder. It's titanium and plastic. And the arthritis, because I used to be a shot putter also and a power lifter. And so everything I've ever done in my life is beat the hell out of my body. And so I would love to, because I am still that competitive. And that's one of the things I loved. Everybody always asks me what it was about arm wrestling, because it's like, it's one of the only sports where you, other than like wrestling, where you can take physical control over somebody, or you can lose physical control over somebody, because it's right there. So I love it. I miss it so much. And I get asked all the time, you know, come back. And I'm like, I'm 58 years old, darling. I'm done.
You got to protect that shoulder.
I know, right?
So if I can set context for our listeners, you are a 6'3" athlete who has set records for shot put and even participated in the 1988 Olympic trials. Your first on-camera gig was playing Lady Battle Axe on Knights and Warriors, a sort of medieval American Gladiators type of show. Can you talk about like when you caught the acting bug and how your physicality informed your acting and the roles you've taken?
Actually, I competed in 88 and 92 Olympic trials.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
I was 7th and 11th, and the top 4 go to the games. But like everybody says, just to be a part of the trials was so much fun, because it was people I competed against for years in college. And then, you know, I graduated college in 86, and here it is, 92. So it was fun to see people again that I hadn't seen in years. But what happened is I went to school for criminology. I majored in criminology. And I worked 4.5 years juvenile probation in a lockdown facility in Fresno, because I went to Fresno State. And I would go to like bodybuilding competitions. I was nowhere near a bodybuilder. I was more like a building body. But I would go to these competitions and do deadlifting exhibitions, which is where you just grab the weight, you stand straight up and the weight's down at your thighs. And so I would go, because I lifted a lot of weight, and I would go to these exhibitions. And one of the bodybuilders I met, she and her husband was Shirley Eason. And Shirley was Skye on American Gladiators. She was an alternate, and then she got on, but this was like a few years after we'd become friends and stuff. And so she would tell me all this stuff. So she calls me one day and she's like, Dot, oh my God, they are auditioning. They're looking for big, strong girls. They're auditioning for a new show. It's kind of like American Gladiators, but it's medieval, and it's called Knights and Warriors. So I'm like, what the hell? I have nothing to lose. I have a full-time job. I'm fine here, right? So I called Carol O'Leary, who I haven't seen her since probably 25 years now. But Carol O'Leary was the casting director, and I called her and I found out, you know, to come down. So I came down and I auditioned, and the first day was like physical agility, which for my size, at that time I was still 6'4". I lost I've had 12 knee surgeries, so I've lost a lot of height, you know, just with arthritis in the back and stuff. But anyway, I was very strong and very fast for my size. I was 6'4" and probably, I'm going to say like 250.
Incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like a defensive end or something. But I came down, I auditioned. One of the things was rollerblading. I wasn't that great at it, but eventually I got a lot better at it. But there was probably there had to have been a few hundred women, because they had auditions for 2 days. And the day that I went, there was a ton of people there. So they said that there was like 250 or something that auditioned for these 4 spots. And I knew nothing about acting. I never claimed to, and I still don't feel like I know much about acting. But they said, we'll call you tonight. If you're chosen, we're going to have cold reads tomorrow. And I had no idea what that was. I said, so if I do get a cold read, I'm like thinking it's going to be cold. Honestly thought, okay, this is a warrior deal. We're in Antarctic or some shit. And I said, so what would I wear to this cold reading? And they said, well, just wear your best warrior outfit. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I had like zebra workout pants. And I'm like, I had stuff that I'd wear if I got the call. So they said they'd call by 8:30. So 8:30 comes, no call. And I'm like, oh, well, I had a blast today, And then like almost 9 o'clock, the call comes. They wanted me to come back the next day. I go back the next day. I cut up a sweatshirt and had holes in it and then had like a red tank top under it. And it was like just silly shit you tie around. I mean, hello, it was 91. And so I did the audition, and then they wanted to improv, and they said, okay, we'll let you know. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's how it works. So it was probably a few weeks later. So I went back to Fresno, went back to work at the hall, and I get this phone call, and how like you're dead asleep and the phone rings? I said, hi, is Dot there? And I'm like, yeah, this is Dot. And they said, hi, this is Carol O'Leary. And I'm like, hi, Carol. And in my head, I'm thinking, who the hell's Carol O'Leary? Because I was sleeping. And she goes, and she goes, how would you like to be a warrior? And I was like, oh my God. So, I came down, did the pilot, went back to Fresno, and I was switching from juvenile to adult probation because I was told, because I didn't know that, you never know if a pilot's going to sell. So went back to Fresno, did all that. The pilot sold, and I'm like, oh, hell, I'm moving to LA because we did 26 episodes. It was so much fun. So that's how I started.
It is such a show. I was obsessed with American Gladiators, and I was like, oh, Knights and Warriors, I'm going to be watching this tonight. This is going to be my comfort TV tonight. Dot, we were delighted to discover that you made your stage debut as Mrs. Soames in Deaf West Theater's Our Town at Pasadena Playhouse in 2017 with Jane Kaczmarek as your stage manager.
Yeah.
And then you followed up with that with a performance as Dennis Dupree, which is very badass, in Rock of Ages off-Broadway in 2020.
Yeah, thank you, Betty.
What made you want to dip your toe into the theater after, having so many film and TV credits and 3 Emmy noms under your belt? What made you want to take that chance, and, are there any dream theater roles?
First of all, I never in my life thought I'd be doing what I'm doing right now, let alone doing stage stuff. And I was terrified to do Our Town because I'd never done a play. And so not only did I have to learn the lines, and there's no do-overs like on film and television because you can do another take. You don't get that on stage. And I was terrified because not only were we doing the acting, but then we had to learn how to sign. And it was really hard work and gratifying work. And then plus to get to work with Jane and to become friends with Jane Kaczmarek, she is amazing. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. She's hilarious, yeah. And then with Dennis Dupree to do a musical, my wife and I, Bridget, had seen Rock of Ages, probably 25 times in Vegas. We happened to go see it when it was first starting there because we were staying, I believe, at the Venetian or the Palazzo, and they said, hey, we got a new show. Do you guys want to go see it? We're like, sure. And so we went and saw it, and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's the kind of music we love. We met the cast afterwards and ended up becoming friends with them. And then every time we'd come to town, we'd go see them and then go out to dinner or whatever. First time we saw it, Bridget says, you need to play Dennis Dupree. Because I do this voice and I'm like, hey, like that. And so I am so lucky, and I know how lucky I am because Bridget and I were in New York for a screening of, I did a short film called 5 Teenagers Walk Into a Bar. And so they were having a screening of it, and it happened to be on my birthday, January 4th. And so we went to that in 2020 in New York. And we could have gone to see, what play are we going to go see? We're going to go see any play we want, right? So I'm like, oh my God. So we go to Old Faithful, Rock of Ages. Because we had a few friends that were in the Vegas show, but we hadn't seen them in a while. So we go to Rock of Ages, and I'm looking at the program, and I'm like, oh my God, Duncan Stewart cast this. And they had approached me while I was doing Glee it didn't happen because of filming and stuff, but I'd still love to go do that. They wanted me to play Mama Morton. And so
okay, we need that.
We got to manifest that
immediately.
Yeah,
we
sure.
just saw Pam Anderson in Chicago.
Oh wow! So Duncan and I had kind of kept in touch, over the years. And when we got home, I said, I got to tell Duncan, that we saw Rock of Ages in New York, and I'm sorry I missed him, and hopefully next time that we're in New York, we can go out to dinner or something, or if he's ever out in LA, let's go to dinner or something. I said, it's a dream role of mine to play Dennis Dupree. I said, we've seen it so many times over the years, and the cast is just phenomenal. And cut to, I wrote it, I have to tell you this because this is crazy. The morning of January 9th, we got home the 8th, on the morning of January 9th, I had been misdiagnosed for 3 weeks with adult onset asthma. It was actually a heart problem. And on the 9th, I had a widowmaker, a heart attack. And
God.
by the grace of God, Bridget made me go to the cardiologist, and instead of back to the 2 other doctors that I'd been to 4 times, and all they did was give me inhalers, which only made my heart race. And it's lucky I didn't die sooner. So the morning of the 9th, I wrote that to Duncan, and then that night I was kind of busy. I was in the cath lab having a stent put in because I was 99% occluded and blocked.
Jeez.
And so, luck, I'm telling you, I'm not done here. And so I'd sent that day, and so Bridget wouldn't let me do anything. So we were laying on the bed watching TV, and my phone went off, and I said, oh my God, it's Duncan. And so I opened it. It's going to make me cry now. I opened up the email, and I just started bawling. And Bridget's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I couldn't even read it to her. It said, oh, Dot, I'm so sorry I missed you girls while you were here. Absolutely. We will get together. I'm sorry it's taken me a while to get back to you. It had only been not even a full week. And he said, okay, long story short, there's an offer going out to your team today to play the role of Dennis Dupree in New York. And I was like, that doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? And so I spent my recovery because I had the heart attack January 9th. I opened February 24th or 23rd. And it's like I spent my whole recovery, which probably helped me learning the choreography and doing all that stuff. I learned it in 2 weeks from the time I went to New York. Wow. And then, unfortunately, I had 4 more weeks left on my 6-week contract, and COVID. Our last show was March 13th. And I had 4 weeks still to go, but unfortunately I didn't get to go back and finish it. But it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done because of, one, everything I'd just been through was already an emotional roller coaster with Bridget and a heart attack and stuff and all that shit. And I lost my dad of the same heart attack when I was 10. So it's just like, it's a little too close to home, but I'm here and I'm not done. And everything has just been a gift, you know what I mean? And I know that, and I know how lucky I am to get to have done and do what I do, because I can't imagine doing anything else. I can't imagine having to go back to probation, you know what I mean? Maybe being on probation, but not going back to work in probation. Whole different story.
We need you back in New York doing Mama Morton. That has to happen.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah, put it out there. Let's get it in the universe.
All right, Dot Marie Jones, we've entered the part of the show that we like to call the rapid fire.
Okay.
So we're just going to get in everything else that we can with no segues. You can be rapid if you want. If you need to take a moment, you can do that too. Here we go.
Okay.
Dot, you appeared on Lifetime Celebrity Ghost Stories as well as The Haunting of with the medium Kim Russo, who said that she sensed you had a gift and that you might be, quote, a little psychic. Then she asked you to read her and you delivered the frickin' goods. Was that real? Was that all real? Like, I'm obsessed with that entire episode. I couldn't believe it.
It was 1,000,000% real. I love Kim so much, and she's incredible. And when she picked up on that, and then she asked me later, and she had these questions written down in the van and gave them to her producer and said, hold these, and I didn't know she was going to do this. And when she said it to me, and I think in the episode you can kind of tell I'm kind of shocked, but yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was real. It was 100% real.
Very good episode. Please go look at the show notes. We're going to link it out. I enjoyed every second.
Thank you, sweetie. And Kim is 1,000,000% the real deal.
I agree. I was very invested in her. Yes.
It gives me chill bumps, so you know I'm telling the truth.
Okay, Dot, you play a wrestler named Black Widow on an episode of Roseanne who beats the shit out of Laurie Metcalf off camera, beats Mark in an arm wrestling match, and then is challenged by Roseanne to do another arm wrestling match as the credits roll. Who was the most formidable competitor? The episode was great. It was so pleasing.
Roseanne, because Roseanne really went for it. And oh my God, we were dying because we were doing the thing. And I said, okay, act like you're going to hit me. Well, if you listen, you hear it go and you hear clunk. She totally tagged me and I just went to the ground and Roseanne dives on top of me and we were laughing so hard. Oh my God. Laurie Metcalf is a champ and we were like neighbors. Like when I did Knights and Warriors, just so y'all know, that was in 97 when I did Roseanne. In 91, 92, we did Knights and Warriors. Our set was right next to Roseanne. Their stage was here. Our stage was here. Our dressing rooms were on the front of her building. So, I mean, we had met over the years a lot. Yeah. So, but oh my God, that was so fun. Rosie, she was the bomb. Crazy as hell, but oh my God, it was a crazy episode.
It's a great episode, and the show is so fucking good. It's like one of me and Anne's. It's one of our shared interests. And every time I revisit an episode when we have a guest, I'm like, this show fucking holds up. Like I don't know what she is now, but that show was groundbreaking and funny, and it's just so cool. And like also showed middle class or blue collar people in a way that they've never been shown again.
Right, and that actually, because of where our dressing rooms were on Knights and Warriors and stuff, that's how, I mean, Sandra Bernhardt was one of my first friends here in LA, and that's how we met, because she played Nancy in the diner. Yeah. And it's like Sandy and I are still close. I miss her because she's back with y'all in New York, but yeah, I love her. Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Okay, Dot, you played one of Liz's friends, as we mentioned, on a few episodes of Nip Tuck, and you were there at her bridal shower. Your gift to Liz was season tickets for the WNBA. So my question is, are you an LA Sparks fan? And if not, what can I do to get you on board?
You know what? Let's go to a game. I've never been to one. But
okay,
absolutely.
Dot, you have to go. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny because when you said that, I'm like, oh my God, I please don't ask me what the gift was because I don't remember.
We got it in.
Oh my God.
I highly recommend you go to the WNBA. The seats are not crazy expensive. You can get incredibly close to the action. It's the gayest, most progressive sports league imaginable. I really recommend. And they've got two incredible point guards right now. I think you would enjoy it. And they've got Liz Cambage, who's you gotta go. Yeah.
I gave up playing basketball to stick to track and field because I was offered scholarships for both and I stuck to track and field, and part of me wishes I would have played basketball, but you know what? I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I had. So, you know, everything makes it, you know. But absolutely, I would love to go. And if you're ever out here, let's go to a game.
I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Okay, I mean
like, this is what I proselytize. I believe in the WNBA.
I've never been to an NBA game. I've only been to one professional basketball game, and it wasn't, oh my God, see? It wasn't the Lakers. It was, oh my God, what was
Golden
it?
State Warriors, the Clippers?
Clippers, I'm sorry, yes, the Clippers. God, that was like 15 years ago. So, but yeah.
We're going to get you on board with the WNBA. There's no turning back.
Pinky swear. Okay.
I'm on it. I'm on it, Dot. Okay.
You can go too.
Yes, I would like to. Anne and her partner are trying to get me on board, and I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, so on Knights and Warriors, just like on The Real Housewives, each character got a tagline at the beginning of the show. Like, for example, the announcer would say, "The walking, talking Tower of Destruction, Plague," or "A true physical specimen, an iron beauty, Steel Maiden." Do you remember your character's tagline? And if so, what is it?
I don't remember. I know it's Lady Battle Axe, but what was it?
The biggest chip off the Rock of Gibraltar.
That's it. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God.
So cool.
I was obsessed with it. Oh God, that show is bringing me great joy.
Oh, it is so much fun.
Okay, Dot, you played Hilary Duff's gym teacher, Coach Kelly, on Lizzie McGuire. Were you and Hilary tight from that, so she called you in for her movie Material Girls when she needed someone to play Butch Brenda?
Okay, Hilary Duff. one of the best kids ever. And I love her so much and her family. A few weeks before we did the pilot for Lizzie McGuire, I had done a guest lead on Chicago Hope. And I played
as the Angel of Death.
Yes, the Angel of Death. I played this big-time wrestler, actually wore my outfit from Lady Battle Axe. I'm in the elevator. There's this kid going to have brain surgery, and I'm like really mean to her because I was supposedly roid raging. And it was Hilary. And then cut to 2 weeks later, Robin Lippin asked me, the casting director, Robin Lippin, asked me if I would do this, pilot. It's not a big deal. It's just a little thing, but it turned into like 5 episodes. And so I'm like reading it and I'm like, Hilary Duff. And I'm like, and I didn't see her name till I got to work. I'm like, holy shit, I just worked with her on Chicago Hope. So I go and beat on her door and I said, do I have to be mean to you every other week? And so it was so much fun. So that's actually how I did that. And then they just asked me if I'd do the Butch Brenda deal on Material Girls.
We love hearing that Duff
so
is a
we
good
had
egg.
a good rapport, and I love that kid so much, and I can't believe she's already a mama a couple times.
I know. I can't believe she's an adult.
I know. She was 11 when I met her.
Oh, jeez.
I know.
All right, Dot.
Yeah.
The story goes that your wife found you on Facebook after realizing she saw you in the airport and knew you from one of my all-time favorite shows, Scare Tactics. First of all, that's gay as hell. I'm obsessed with that, so kudos to her. And 2, was this love at first DM, or were you scared to engage with someone who knew you from your TV work?
She actually saw me. I was on my way home from Ireland with an ex, and she actually saw me in the Atlanta airport, but we didn't speak to each other. I didn't see her. She saw me. And so she was asking around, and there's a lesbian bar in Atlanta where she's from Macon, Georgia. And there was a bar in Atlanta, but she thought I was a local. And so she couldn't figure out, nobody knew who the hell she was talking about. So cut to our oldest, because now they're mine too. Our oldest daughter, Taylor, was a senior in high school, and she's now almost 29. And they watch Glee together every week. And Bridget said she could remember it like it was yesterday. She was walking through the living room carrying laundry, and Taylor goes, "Come on, Mom, Glee's starting." And Bridget looks up, and I'm on TV. And so what happened was she said it drove her nuts. She said to Taylor, because she'd even told Taylor about this woman she'd seen, she said it drove her nuts. And so she found me on Facebook and said, "I think I saw you," she said, "and congratulations on Glee, blah, blah, blah." She said, "I think I saw you at the Atlanta airport. Were you just there?" And I said, "Oh my God, how cute are you?" I said, "That was 8 months ago." And we just started like, it was totally innocent because we were both in a situation that we were trying to get out of, in the middle of breaking up and sorting shit. So after we were both cleared, because I would never do that had I been still in a situation, we're like, okay, we continued talking, and it was kind of great because it helped me get rid of some stuff and get through some stuff because we were both going through a similar deal. She's like, "Okay, we got to meet." And I said, "I know, right?" And so I said, "Well, what's halfway?" And she said, "Texas." I'm like, "No." And so I said, "Where have you never been?" And she said, "I've never been to Vegas." And I said, "Done." And I said, "I'm getting us tickets to Vegas." And she said, No, I can do it. And I said, "No, let me do it." And so I got us tickets to Vegas, and that is what has started our love of Vegas. And once I met her, and we spent the weekend in Vegas just getting to know each other and stuff, and she's one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. And almost 12 years later, I still say the same thing. December will be 12 years. And December 21st will be 8 years that we're married, because we got married in 13. But yeah, I love her, and I got 3 daughters in the deal, and I love them like I had them. They're good kids.
What a story. I love her for shooting her shot. For all of you out there, send the DM. I just love it.
And of course she told Taylor, "Well, that's over, because look what she does. She's not back here. It's never going to work out." And never say never. Yeah.
And that's when the love of Rock of Ages began.
Right, exactly, because that's exactly, you know what? It wasn't that trip. It was I believe our next trip to Vegas that we saw Rock of Ages. Vegas, baby.
Okay, Dot, you guested on an episode of RuPaul's Drag U called Lesbians Gone Wild. What was that day like on set, and was RuPaul wearing sweatpants behind the judging panel?
I don't think so. I think he was in a full-on suit, but I love him so much. I had so much fun, and it was cool doing it and stuff, but I totally wanted to be on there with the drag queens. But hopefully he'll bring me back to judge again. RuPaul's another one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and Bridget and I saw him at, there was a Cirque show that was an anniversary of, I think it was Love, the Beatles Cirque show in Vegas, and we spent time with he and his partner, and it was so much fun, and just hanging out and just talking, no pressure. So
yeah,
he's lovely. I love RuPaul.
Okay, Dot Marie Jones, last question.
Okay.
You've had a wonderful array of characters with great names. We're going to name a few of your character names, and let's see if you can remember what project they're from, okay?
Oh, Jesus.
Here we go. Big Reba.
Reba. No, it wasn't Reba. Big Reba was on, oh my God.
You got it. You know what it is.
Yeah, I do. What was it? Two Broke Girls.
Yes.
Two Broke Girls.
Yes. Okay, how about Pill Providing Lady?
Oh, shit. I didn't even have a name? That must have been a really good project. That was a film. No, it wasn't.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It was a film. Oh my God, I don't remember.
Bad Teacher.
Oh my God, yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, Damien, give us these last three.
Okay. Skittles with a Z.
Oh, Prison Break.
Miss Meat.
Patch Adams.
And last, but certainly not least, Rosengirdle Baumgartner.
Boondock Saints, baby. Yep.
Iconic.
It is. It really is. What a film.
And you did those stunts.
Yeah, I did all of them. I've never had a stunt double. I think one of the funnest things I did is I got to do some motorcycle stunts for the UK back when Nintendo 64 was coming out. Back in the 90s.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I love that.
Unreal.
Dot Marie Jones, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. This has just been like a total pleasure.
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you for having me.
Dot Marie Jones loving Vegas and Rock of Ages was not on my 2022 bingo card. I mean, the Rock of Ages piece, I guess maybe I could have gotten there because I realized that she had played the role of Dennis Dupree off Broadway, but I was just not expecting for her and her wife to love Vegas so much. So like, I've been to Vegas once and I was just fine on it.
But I love that because also they ran into RuPaul and RuPaul's husband and then hung out with them in Vegas after a Cirque show. It's like, oh, Vegas is extremely important to Dot and her wife. Love their meet cute story, obsessed with it. But also the fact that Vegas, maybe to Rock of Ages, to New York, is going to mean that we're going to someday hopefully see Dot Marie Jones in the role of Matron Mama Morton in Chicago on Broadway. It has to happen. Weislers, come on. Fran and Barry must listen to the podcast at this point.
Can you believe that just weeks after seeing Pam Anderson, we got to meet Dot, and then she told us that she almost did the role of Mama Morton, and we both just screamed. We just saw Pam Anderson, and she said, wow. Yes, she will. I need her to go into the role, and we will, of course, go back. We will, and we'll go see her at backstage, or maybe not backstage, but we'll see her at the stage door and say, Dot, we're so happy to meet you in person. But we're going to go see a WNBA game with her also.
Yes, 100%. I do feel like Dot is just one of these people that is like open, warm, says yes to things. And I just feel really grateful that we get to chat with her because I'm so excited to see her in Bros, which is coming out in September. Very, very, very invested in that. So happy Pride to Dot and happy Pride to all of you.
That's true. Bros comes out in September in the fall. And we will also be back in the fall. So stay tuned to this podcast, this spot, wherever you're listening to this. Make sure you're subscribed and locked in so that you are the first to know when we return. So we will be back in July with a special summer episode. We're not going to connect Dot Marie Jones to that month's guest because there is time in between. we could decide that we want to launch a different episode. We may get a different guest who's promoting something. So we're just going to hold on tight to who we have. We're going to keep that close to our hearts. And, we are nothing if not completists. So we would never want someone to go back and listen to this episode, in the future, well after it's been launched, and then been like, oh, they connected the wrong person. I would hate it. I would just hate it. So we're not going to connect.
Yes, and if you want to follow the sort of drunken theater goings of Damien and I on Instagram and either get a review or not until the next day, follow us on social media. We are at Damien Bellino and Rodaman on all mediums. That's RODEMANNE. And Damien with an A, please, folks. We love hearing from you, but please spell our names right. It might not be as important to Damien, but it's very important to me that we get people's names right. And when I make a mistake, I always say, I'm so sorry, I spelled your name wrong. That is so mortifying. It's Damien with an A and Ann with an E.
You might know her from is produced by us. That is Ann Rodeman and Damien Bellino. But we also want to thank our beautiful consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. That is Jason Jude Hill and Daniel Sears. They keep us organized, they keep us motivated, and they keep us doing the good thing. So thank you to Daniel and Jason, and also thank you to Daniel Sears for all of that beautiful peanut butter editing you hear on this episode.
Special thanks, as always, to Gang. All the music that you hear on each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is courtesy of Gang. They're Philadelphia-based. They're 3/4 women, and we love them. You can download and stream Gang wherever you get your music. Go find them. And, dear ones, if you want to see that clip of Do You Want to Fuck Me, Barbara from Notes on a Scandal, don't worry, because I uploaded it onto my YouTube channel 15 years ago with my phone recording the TV, and it's one of the only thing that gets multiple comments. Once a year I get a freaky comment from somebody that I have to delete on that video, so that's going to be in the show notes too. Oh, I just wanted to share this moment with you. So at the time of recording, the Tonys just happened, and I watched all 4 hours. It was very intense. It was a whole experience, but I was really grateful that I saw Company last week just in time. I had delayed my viewing, but I was so glad. Brenna and I went to go see it. It was wonderful. I had an incredible time. I have to say, Patti LuPone just won the Tony for Joanne, and I know that you have opinions about it, but what I wanted to tell you is that in the opening number, when in that neon box, they actually performed it at the Tonys, so you can watch it even if you haven't seen the show live on Broadway. There was a moment that happened where I just started looking at Patti LuPone and I just started crying uncontrollably in the opening number. And it was because Patti LuPone, now 3-time Tony winner, superstar of the stage, one of the last great theater stars, was there doing ensemble work and middling choreography in this tiny little box. And I thought, you know what? This is what the theater is. Patti LuPone is crazy and wonderful, and I love her. And also she's friends with David Mamet, and I have to question that. However, watching her have little bits of boop, bop, boop dialogue and little choreo moments, and that just was she was doing ensemble work. Patti LuPone is a star of the theater, and I know she gets the biggest number in the second act. I totally get it. I understand why people play Joanne, but the part of Joanne also requires you to be a tiny member of the chorus essentially, and it's very cool to watch.
I also think she moved a cube or a box at one point, and I was yeah. I was charmed by that.
Right, she's doing prop work. I was very charmed by the whole thing. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you because that is the sentimental part of me that loves the theater and why it is communal and why it's if you're going to be a star, you can never really be that big of a star because some of the great roles require you to do bit work,